Welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating perspective on a struggle so many professionals face at some point, and that is finding lasting meaning and actually overcoming burnout. We're going to explore a total paradigm shift, one that changes our focus from simply performing physical tasks day in and day out to engaging in a profound spiritual exchange. Okay, let's dive into this. We're starting with a very real, deeply relatable dilemma from the source material. Just imagine a practitioner who's been running a bodywork and massage shop for over 25 years. I mean, they are a seasoned veteran with incredible skills, right? Yet they admit that while doing the actual care is fun, the second the client leaves, this heavy wave of doubt just crashes over them. They're left oscillating between feeling incredibly thankful for their life and then suddenly wanting to walk away from the whole shebang entirely.
And that brings us to the central question of this explainer. Why do we experience burnout even in a calling we are genuinely grateful for? It's kind of a paradox, isn't it? If you have a special talent and you appreciate having it, shouldn't that be enough to sustain you? Well, the source material suggests that this exhaustion isn't a failure of skill, and it's definitely not a lack of gratitude. Instead, it's a sign that the practitioner has just lost sight of the true purpose of their work. They are exhausting their energy because, honestly, they're only fulfilling half of their actual job description.
So let's look at Section 1. Talent is a tool for connection. Traditionally, we view a service business, like a massage shop, as a straightforward transaction. A client comes in, you fix their physical muscles, you get paid, and they leave. Simple enough. But the source material offers a radically different philosophy here. It argues that your physical talent, your literal ability to heal or care for someone's body, is merely a tool. It's like a giant magnet designed specifically to draw human connections to you. The ultimate goal isn't just to make money. It's to bring people into your life so you can interact with them on a much deeper level.
When you start viewing your talent as a tool for connection, your entire approach to business growth completely flips. Traditional advertising, not even necessary. First, you treat the client right. And we mean not just their body, but treating them as a human being. Because you've treated them with genuine care, they naturally bring others to you. They tell their friends, their family, and the idea spreads like wildfire. From there, your business just grows organically. The underlying philosophy here is that nature will always bring you the exact number of people you need, provided you're treating them correctly.
Now, why is treating them correctly absolutely crucial? Because offering one's body to be touched requires immense trust and vulnerability. The source emphasizes the profound nature of what's actually happening in a body shop. A client is walking in off the street and allowing you to touch their face, their head, their body. Really think about how incredible that act of surrender is for a second. They are placing absolute trust in you. You aren't just manipulating tissue, you are literally holding their vulnerability in your hands. Realizing the weight of this trust is the very first step to overcoming that feeling of burnout.
But what happens when our internal state sours? That brings us to Section 2. The cost of complaining and blaming.
Ponder this for a second. Where does physical muscle tension really come from? If a client walks in with these huge knots in their shoulders, or if you yourself wake up feeling stiff and in pain, we usually blame poor posture, right? Or hard physical labor, or maybe just a really bad mattress. But the source material provides a fascinating philosophical diagnosis that actually has nothing to do with physical strain.
Now, what's really interesting about this concept is the claim that physical tension and hardship stem directly from a negative internal state, specifically complaining and blaming others. The lecture asserts that nature simply did not give humans the right to complain or cast blame. When we do, when we harbor resentment and point fingers at external circumstances rather than looking inward, that negative energy manifests physically. It literally knots up our muscles and makes us ill.
And the source uses a mathematical concept to illustrate just how destructive that complaining energy is, not just to the individual, but on a massive macro level. It posits that if one person in a specific region, in this case Korea, complains, it creates a ripple effect causing 100 people globally to complain. If 10 people complain, it impacts 1,000 people. To put that into perspective, by indulging in complaining and blaming, the source argues we are actually misguiding humanity's energy. So the physical pain or business struggles we experience are framed as a direct consequence of that misuse of energy.
Moving on to Section 3, the real reason hardships repeat.
This negative internal state doesn't just cause physical tension, it actually attracts external disasters into our lives. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to deal with the exact same difficult situations over and over again, like constantly getting scammed or always attracting difficult clients? The source maps out the logic perfectly here. Through our own lack of self-reflection and inner growth, we create a vulnerable environment. Drawn to this environment, a hardship occurs, like a scammer arriving. The source views the scammer almost as a messenger. But here is where we fail. Instead of asking, hey, why was I vulnerable to this, we blame the scammer. And because we blame them instead of learning the lesson, well, the cycle is guaranteed to repeat.
The source gives a pretty stark warning on this front. Warning signs precede all events. Ignoring them brings ruin. Nothing happens without warning. Before you face a major downfall, you are going to see signs. You might see a friend get scammed, you might notice people around you struggling, or watch some really unsettling news. These are indirect warnings meant to prompt you to study yourself and improve your own inner state. If you ignore these signs and think, oh, that won't happen to me, while doing absolutely nothing to grow, the hardship will eventually arrive right at your front door.
So, let's connect these philosophical concepts back to our questioner's burnout. When you ignore your inner growth, your energy stagnates. And what does that look like? It leads to a decreasing client base, attracting only annoying or difficult people, a complete loss of joy in the work, and feelings of extreme exhaustion. This hits the nail on the head for what the 25-year veteran is feeling. They're exhausting their physical energy doing the massages, sure, but because they aren't fulfilling the deeper, spiritual purpose of the interaction, their energy has become completely stagnant.
Let's look at the solution in Section 4, Communication that Circulates Energy.
Even during tough economic times, when your first instinct might be to just throw your hands up and quit, there is a highly practical, uplifting solution. To circulate your energy, you first have to build what the source calls inner mass. Now, this is basically the soul's mass and strength, and it's built through gathering knowledge, studying life, and deeply processing your experiences. It's the wisdom you've accumulated over your 25 years of living and working. True strength doesn't come from your physical muscles at all. It comes from the density of knowledge and understanding held within your soul.
And once you have that inner mass, you have to dispense it. The source calls this spiritual medicine. This is the actual cure for burnout. Now, spiritual medicine isn't a pill, it is the act of exchanging words. It's listening deeply to the person in front of you, taking their words into your inner mass, processing it, and then sharing your positive, refined energy back with them through genuine conversation.
So the crucial point is how you apply this while the client is literally on your table. Here is the exact revitalization process you need to follow. First, listen closely to the client's words. Don't just work in silence. Second, process their words using that inner mass you've built up over your life. Third, speak. Actually share your positive energy back to them. Give them insights, comfort, or simply a refined perspective. And finally, if you do this, you will watch the business naturally bloom again. Your fatigue will vanish because finally, your energy is circulating.
The warning here is pretty direct. If you don't share your energy through words, clients will just stop returning. The source argues that clients don't just come for a physical massage. Subconsciously, they actually come to receive your energy and your wisdom. If you just silently knead their muscles and withhold your words, you are withholding the very energy they came for in the first place. It's going to feel boring to them, and eventually your business will slowly dry up.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate takeaway from the source. Since you are studying, converse. Flowers will bloom again. It's such a hopeful, beautiful promise, isn't it? The answer to 25 years of burnout isn't to run away. Actually, scratch that. It's not to just push harder physically either. The answer is to open your mouth. Share the wisdom you've gained. Turn a physical service into a spiritual exchange of energy, because that is how you truly revive your calling.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to take into your own life and career today. Are you merely completing a physical transaction, or are you creating a spiritual exchange? No matter what industry you are in, think about the people drawn to you. Are you just exchanging a service for money, or are you sharing your inner mass and making them truly feel heard and healed? Think about that the next time you interact with a client or a colleague. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep circulating that positive energy.